Hello and welcome to a discussion that we're going to have today about the role that infrastructure plays in tourism. As we know, infrastructure really underpins so much of what we do, and this is true, of course, for this particular sector. I'm really excited for the people I have with me to discuss this today, and I'd like to introduce them. First, my name is Laurel Ostfield. I'm the Director General of Communications at the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. And with me, I have Gökçe BAŞKAYA. She is the Head of Foreign Relations and Tourism at the İzmir Metropolitan Municipality. Welcome, Gökçe.
Thank you.
We also have with us Sertac. He is the CEO of Akfen GYO, and I hope I pronounced it not too terribly, Sertac.
It's perfect.
Great. And then finally, we have Supee. Teravaninthorn. She is the Director General of Operations in our investment department at the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Yes. Welcome all of you today. So look, let's get started. Now, obviously with tourism, people are coming to a destination. They're coming to experience something, see something, and of course that means they're coming to a place. So maybe if I can ask you, Gökçe, to start us off, like what are the key elements when it comes to the land itself, the geography, the place, that, and what are those things that have to really be in place from your perspective? I know İzmir has a big tourism industry in order to set the stage for success.
First of all, thank you for your invitation and your very warm, generous introduction. I'm really delighted to share my ideas with you, and I'm sure that outcomes of this event will lead to even stronger policy strategies in the subject that connectivity and investment for tourism development. In response to your question, İzmir is the highest rated city in Turkey in quality of life and environmental friendliness. The current urban identity of İzmir and its population has been deeply influenced by the historical heritage and multicultural past. İzmir is one of the most important port cities in the Mediterranean, and having the third largest cruise port also makes İzmir one of the most extroverted cities in Turkey. And as we declined in our tourism and promotion strategy, our key elements are nature, history, and archaeology.
Thank you. It sounds like you have everything going for you on so many elements that make it such a wonderful tourism destination. Now, let me, Sertac, you come from the private sector, and Akfen GYO, you manage a lot of hotels like IBIS. So from your point of view, what are you really looking for in the geography, in the land, that speaks to you that there's promise there?
Yeah, as Akfen GYO, we have got 24 real estates in our portfolio, and when you look at it, 19 of them are city hotels. So we are more concentrated, we are more professional on city hotels. And in terms of city hotels, if I want to talk, I can say that the land possibly should be in the center of the city, of course, not only for the guests to reach to anywhere from the hotel, but also for the personnel and for everything, for logistics, etc. Here we are looking for something different. It's a win-win case. What is it? Generally, we prefer to lease the land instead of purchasing. Leasing it from the local government or from NGOs like chambers of commerce or something like that, which is our preference. This sustains both public benefit from land rents and decreasing investment costs for us also. So it's a win-win case. So we are looking, of course, the basic infrastructural sewage or green energy. These are all classical point of views in the recent years, but for the basic, what we look at first is the location, of course, and the possibility of leasing the land instead of purchasing it.
Thank you. Now, Supee, AIB is a multilateral development bank. You're often being asked to have vision because sometimes you're looking at blank space. I mean, there's nothing there. So from your point of view, what are some of the key elements that you're really have an eye towards that are speaking to you that, there's potential in this geography?
Yes, I think that actually, I would like to say that actually tourism is really one of the increasing important income maker for many countries. And anything, if you can really, from the tourism specialist, I'm not a tourism specialist, but I try to provide infrastructure to promote it. But I think that from the geographic point of view, I think each country can identify anything in the country can be really promoted as tourism. You can have history, culture, pristine beach, forestry, whatever. It can be so many things that if the country really have something that they can think that they are ready to bring visitor, and the visitor will like the place, will like to come back, that will be already a successful case. So I think like Izmir, case of Izmir, you have so many things. You have archaeological, you have other site. We also have, in case of AIB, we try to help with our member country in bringing or promoting some tourism area in Indonesia, for example. So I think that in the geographic type, geography of each country, the owner of the land or the host of the host country of the tourism host country probably will be the one who first have to identify what I can have to really promote and to sell for tourism income. And then from there, we can help into saying that how to make it even better and facilitate people to want to come back again, and the holistic nature of the between the host and the visitor and those kind of things is what AIB can help.
Thank you. And I'd like to build on that a little bit. Gökçe and Sertac, you both have I would say, an urban expertise. So maybe we could explore that in particular. So, and maybe Sertac, if I can turn this question to you first, what is some of the basic infrastructure that really matters to you as a private investor when you're assessing? Are there certain aspects of it that to you are 1, 2, 3 top priorities that could make or break your interest in a particular deal?
In fact, maybe you may not consider them infrastructure, but we also see them as basic features. So first of all, I want to mention about the developing potential of the city, its business culture and touristic potential that will attract more visitors are the first features every time. That will be the case, of course, to motivate the investor. The lands being in the city center, charters planned to this city, to this land in the future or in near and far future, let's say, sports and commercial events to be planned are the very basic items that affect our preferences for the land. And in terms of infrastructure, in the basic case, infrastructure, for example, for construction phase, because of the touristic preferences in the, let's say, in COVID period, in the pandemic period, or not only COVID, I can say, in recent years, some changes in the preferences are experienced, and now we are more looking for example, horizontal villas to build instead of vertical hotel buildings. So this is an important change. I don't know if it is the case in all over the world, but in Turkey, it's a very basic case that every people now are preferring to some more specialized, some more boutique places. So our infrastructure preferences go through that way. We are looking for projects and infrastructure suitable to that model. And of course, the sewage and the green energy will always be the case. But in terms of infrastructure, more land, more green land, and maybe not city hotel, maybe, but the place is far from the city and near to nature, I mean. These are the near future projections for our company's forecasts as investors.
It's very interesting. Obviously, COVID has changed so much about tourism in so many ways. And I think we should explore that a little bit in our conversation a bit. But I'd first like to hear from Gökçe, when you're planning, when you're thinking from an urban planning point of view for Izmir, as you think about how to manage influx of tourists, I mean, how does that impact the design of the infrastructure that you have in place for your urban population?
As one of the oldest port cities of the world, Izmir has always been recognized as an important meeting point for people with different cultures, languages, and religions. Izmir's geographic value is increasingly important in this globalized world. Its modern Mediterranean identity, cultural diversity, open-minded inhabitants make Izmir a perfect city to live, visit, and invest. Izmir, due to having been home to many cultures, civilizations, its geographical location and its role as a bridge between the East and West is the heir to a rich cultural legacy. Projects are being carried out in Izmir aimed to embracing and preserving this heritage, enabling regional values to thrive and passing on this inheritance to coming generations.
Thank you. And I think that's a perfect setup to what I think is a really important part of this conversation, talking about the cultural heritage. And maybe Supee, you can lead on this point. You really have to think about you're welcoming an influx of visitors, people are coming, but people live there too. And how do you, ease the tension of people who just want to go about their, want to live there, go about their day-to-day lives, but then you have wonderful people coming in and want to experience that. So how do you, when you're looking at a project, think about the voice of the local community in terms of shaping the project design and the way that tourism is built and developed locally?
Yeah, thank you. I think this is really very important. The holistic planning, the living together between the host and the visitor, then the infrastructure. I mean, the soft dimension is one thing, the hard dimension is another thing. If the tourist spot is in the city, I think the planning is one way. If the tourist spot is in a beach, and some planning will be very different. In the city, I think we have to think about what is the density of the population at that time, at that point. And then after that, I mean, if you plan to have another few million people per year coming into the city, what kind of infrastructure that you need to get ready? I mean, okay, first is transportation. If you want a tourism in your city, you have to make sure that there is a transportation route that come into your city more conveniently. And then if you think that your population base is how many million, if you want to bring in another how many million as a visitor, what kind of water supply, pressure they are going to have, right? Then you have to make sure that the water supply will not be shortage. Clean water should be there. How to deal with the wastewater? how to deal with the electricity consumption, because you cannot add a lot of population who are visiting population coming in and then starting to have a problem with electricity, not sufficient supply. You have to think about, so all these are infrastructure that is related to tourism. And with COVID-19, you still have to think about the healthcare also. When you bring in a lot of people come into one place, how are you going to ensure that, you know, if anything happen, can you control? Can you? So all these are the infrastructure dimension to make sure that those places, you don't open up your city for tourism, and then 5 years down the road, you will have people in the host community start feeling that certain thing is running down for them, certain thing they get shortage of water supply, because the water supply will have to be priority, will go to the 5-star hotel, and the local population will get less water or electricity that is 24/7 become shortage, and the 5-star hotel get the electricity, the local population will not. So this kind of thing we need, I think infrastructure dimension of tourism is really need to be well planned before you open up your community. That is a hard side. Of course, the soft side is also, I mean, there are so many cultural different. And we could also get into that because, yeah.
Thank you. So, Gökçe, can you talk a bit about how the Metropolitan Municipality of Izmir thinks about engaging your local community in development of tourism and participating in that?
As the local administration of a city that has such a high tourism potential and the number of tourists is constantly increasing, Izmir needed regulation in its organizational structure. Accordingly, the tourism department was established in July 2019 in order to meet the needs of the tourism sector and to work on behalf of tourism. The tourism department carries out its activities under the direction of Foreign Relations and Tourism Department. I think that mayors, municipalities, city councils, and other local communities have different kinds of links and potentials to mobilize to respond to various threats which cannot be activated by national governments. This should be a very important advantage for our tourism development strategies. In this context, the tourism department aims to develop Izmir tourism by working in coordination with Izmir Foundation. A tourism coordination board, we have a board, tourism coordination board, which includes tourism stakeholders in the city, was established under the coordination of tourism department and the Izmir Foundation. The board aims to develop Izmir tourism by using a holistic language with the common opinion of all stakeholders in the tourism sector. Izmir tourism and promotion strategy have been prepared as a common city vision in line with the views of the tourism stakeholders in the city by the cooperation of the tourism department and the Izmir Foundation. Tourism strategy aiming to reveal Izmir's tourism potential and to announce it to the world. It also aims to increase Izmir's share in the world tourism sector. In line with this strategy, the Visit Izmir mobile application, serving as the city's promotional interface, is available now. The Tourism Coordination Board, which the tourism sector representatives in Izmir are members, discuss the problems and solutions for the sector. For example, the Orange Circle, a hygiene certification program, was created in this process. The Orange Circle is a certification program to ensure that food and beverage and accommodation facilities, airline companies are reliable and healthy in Izmir. Aims of this certificate is to help facilities adapt to new process, to show that Izmir is a hygienic and safe tourism destination in domestic and international platforms.
So it sounds like quite a robust system that you've put in place just a couple of years ago to respond to the need to find a holistic way to approach tourism as an important part of the economy in Izmir. So Sertac, how can you supplement this from the private sector perspective? If the local community is not properly engaged, it can create risks for investments, obviously. So how do you approach it from your point of view?
Laurel, Turkey is a very highly concentrated country in terms of tourism. And the 21 hotels we have as the company are 16 of which in Turkey and in very different cities. And in all these cities, in all the cities' local values, we saw that, first of all the related entities helped us for our investment to get permission to construct for the right way. The right way means they guided us for the local aspects. We did not experience any delay or any difficulty while we were in relation with local governmental entities or local non-governmental entities, and they all supported us. And we, as you know, local community sustains sufficient employment, which gives benefit not only in economics terms, but also these staff are oriented, trained, etc. So there is a good interaction in the cities where we build up hotels with the community and our company. Other than this, we prefer local contractors for purchasing activities, food and beverage and other purchasing activities, which supports the local economy. So the local community and investor interaction, we all experienced very positive up to now, especially in Turkey. For example, we have got also some other investments in near Turkey countries, let's say, but maybe it's because we are a Turkish originated company or not, but it was most easier, let's say, the most positive interaction with local community and the investor experience was in Turkey, I can say.
So, I mean, it's a really important point that, this is bringing jobs to the local community, a huge amount of benefits. And we've talked about the local community, but of course, tourism is about the visitors. So we only have time for maybe one more question, but I think it's important to understand, why are those visitors coming to you? Izmir has a lot to offer. But when you're thinking about how you move people around, some are coming for the archaeology and some are coming for the culture and some are coming for the beauty. Some want to get out of the city to see the surrounding areas. And so how do you, when you think about creating the mechanisms and the infrastructure to facilitate them having a smooth experience, how do you approach that? And maybe Gökçe, you can lead us off.
Mm-hmm. With its historical, cultural values and nature, Izmir has huge potential for tourism. Izmir offers supply potential where types of ecotourism, rural tourism, and cultural tourism, as well as innumerable activities based on them, might be developed. Izmir has got too many options to serve in gastronomy tourism also. An important sign of the richness of Izmir cuisine is the increasing number of products with geographical indication. The geographical indication mark granted by the Turkish Patent and Branding Institute is a mark of certification given to products that are identified with the local or regional culture of an area, have a traditional significance unique to the geographic area they originate from, and are high quality natural artisanal products. Izmir with its abundance of gastronomic products, has the third highest number of geographical indication products in Turkey. Geographical indicated marked products are making a great contribution to raising awareness of Izmir's cuisine, both nationally and internationally, while also helping to preserve the region's unique local delicacies and ensuring their continued production in the future.
So I think we all want to go to Izmir now more than ever. It's making it sound delicious. So I mean, Sertac, you are hosting these visitors. I mean, they're coming and staying at the hotels that you're operating, and they're giving you direct feedback about where they want to go and what they want to do. And how do you, again, this sort of comes back to when you're assessing whether the potential for investment in a particular area, you know, how do you approach that, understanding the needs of your future customers and what's currently in place, and or what kind of infrastructure you need to make sure they have the time that they want and come back?
In fact, since our hotels are members of a great hospitality operator chain, we do not have enough room to be elastic according to their preferences. You know, we generally have to apply standard specifications during infrastructure and building. But of course, there are exceptions. Everything is not the rule. One exception is Eskişehir Ibis. I don't know, have you ever heard about Eskişehir city in Turkey? It's a central Anatolia city with a population of nearly 1 million, a trade, industry, university, and logistics center. And in this city, we have an Ibis hotel, which was built 13 years ago. And in the just center of the city, there is a railway station. And this big railway station, just beside the railway station, there's a building which was used as silo, grain storage, a very huge building, and this was restored to hotel by us 13 years ago. So this was a very exciting experience for the guests. We are hearing about them, and where we just are experiencing something different with hexagon rooms, just in the city center, in the bar street, in the shopping mall, etc. So this is an example, of course. These different cultural or geographical or local differences, of course, attract the visitors. This is the case. Now, but besides this, now the visitors will look for some special experiences for themselves who are accommodating, of course. So we offer this difference in menus by using local foods in the menu, especially for visitors to feel different in their visits. But this is more possible in resource, of course. You have got various menus, you have got kinds of kitchens like that, but in city hotels, it's generally you have a standard, but it is also possible there to use local features of the food in your menus.
That's a good example about how that how you've experienced that or created that opportunity. So Supee, maybe just to wrap up, you know, you're from Thailand, and Thailand is very, very good at getting tourists from island to island. The infrastructure is in place that helps it be a bit of a seamless experience. But not just from Thailand, but your extensive experience working all over Asia and Africa. How are you seeing the different kinds of infrastructure that is built to facilitate different kinds of tourist activities?
Yes, thank you very much, Laurel. I was tempted to say that, yes, I'm from Thailand, and this is the country of tourism, and that's why COVID-19 hit us very hard. I say that country of tourism because Thailand has only less than 70 million population, about 68, 69 million population. Before COVID-19, 2019, the tourism in Thailand was, I think that it is record at 35 million, which is half of the visitor. Host population 70, less than 70. Visitor is 35. And at that point, the Thai government was even think big that by 2020, we want to host a visitor of 42 million. From 35, they want to increase to 32. So what are infrastructure that you bring to 32? Of course, this is talk about the whole country that have the north, that have temple, and all those to the south that are beach. So these are all infrastructure. Now I want to go a little bit away from Thailand and say, what as a tourist, all of us in this room has been hosts and has been tourists before, I'm sure, right? So and I ask myself, what do I want to be a tourist? I want to go to a place that at the end of the day, I can say this is a memorable 1 week or 10 days or whatever. And it can be a family tourism. Nowadays we talk about family tourism or individual or romanticized kind of thing. So you have different kind of category. But at the end of the day, what make it memorable? Number one, you talk about safe. You want to be going to a place where you can walk in the street at night, not afraid that people will mob you, right? And so it has to be a safe place, clean place, convenient and reasonable price. So all these put together, you will want to recommend to your friend to go to that place. So all this that it bring safe, bring clean, bring all those, come to infrastructure planning. Of course, from the real estate dimension, from the hotel dimension, you will have so many categories of hotels because you want to have different category of income level tourism. You can have 5-star all the way to 2-star, 3 or Airbnb. And but doesn't matter you offer the place as an Airbnb or the place as 5-star. The general thing, the general request of the tourists who come to visit your home will be again safe, convenient, clean, and good and reasonable price. Therefore, infrastructure, again, maybe speaking from the infrastructure investment bank, we will say that infrastructure can be part of the reason on the hard dimension. Of course, the soft dimension will be other thing that the tourist bureau of the country have to sensitize that one population. For example, you can get into a cultural crash if you are from a country that alcohol is prohibited or alcohol is prohibited in certain time of the day. And then you have a tourist who want alcohol anytime because they came to relax. They may look for that they can have alcohol served. So how are you going to plan that? What kind of infrastructure that you can segregate people so that you can have local community, not against the tourists who may, if you say that alcohol cannot be sold to after 8 p.m. for example, I don't know, but I just pull the example. So how can you segregate the area? So those kind of soft dimension of preparation, sensitization of local community, and other consultation with the local community become another job of the government. I can say that the private sector will bring in investment to do the hotel, to have a restaurant, to do some other kind of income generation activity on the private sector activity. On the government side, government probably have to ensure that other safety infrastructure, other clean infrastructure has to be in place. Thank you.
Thank you. And unfortunately, we're out of time. I had so many other questions to get to, but I want to thank all of you for joining me in this discussion today. So much more we could have explored, but I think we touched on some really key components. Thank you again, and have a great day.